again, we applaud you for putting this together. So we're going to move on real quickly to hear from our first speaker. And our first speaker today will be talking on the subject, exploring new career pathways via technology. Exploring new career pathways via technology. As she said, technology can be social media and technology generally. There's the good and the bad side to it. So, the good side is that lots of people are getting jobs. Lots of people are discovering themselves, with technology. And so we're going to hear from our first speaker. She is a pioneer in education technology, a computer science and engineering graduate, and rounding up her MBA at the Warwick University. She's worked as a strategic planner in a leading advertising firm and launched her own IT startup firm. She launched the Wi-Fi Combat Academy 8 years ago, offering a variety of educational technology solutions to institutions, schools, and the government. Dele Tejuoso, who's our speaker now, has been a guest on Social Media 2018, Data Science Nigeria Conference in Nigeria 2018, and Women Leaders Forum at the Google event, where she spoke about her work and met with the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai. Mrs. Dele Tejuoso was given the Special Recognition Award for Empowering Children in Technology, Lagos Chamber Commerce, and she was nominated as an ambassador to Mentor Girls by Alat, a tech platform for Women Bank, to help women that are underrepresented in technology. She was nominated by Forbes as 100 Best Startups in Nigeria 2020. Please welcome Dele Tejuoso. You're welcome.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. I don't have to go so much about since you've already said it. So I'm going to share my screen. So can I go ahead and share my screen, please?
Yes, please.
You have to disable it. So I can, okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So can everybody see my screen, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Mrs. Dele Tejuoso, the founder of Wi-Fi Combat Academy. I've done a lot of things for children and teenagers over the past 8 years. We recently launched our Wi-Fi Combat Fellows. So it's an internship for our teenagers, young teenagers, to be able to learning how to build, how to launch tech startups. So we have a lot of mentors from different organizations that are helping out these children, because it's important, because the question we ask ourselves is that when our kids finish from the university, from before university, post-secondary, what is next? So this slide will talk a lot about what we need to do from primary to secondary, a bit for post-secondary. So I'm defining the schools of the future, defining new models of education for the fourth industrial revolution. So if you're looking at this here, I titled it, the future is here, but actually the future is actually here. And we're now seeing how digital economy has revolutionized every sector of the market. So we're now in the fourth industrial revolution, and this has ushered in AI and big data. Apart from the AI and big data, you're looking at emerging technology. And we're now seeing a series of things, like for the health sector, we're seeing AI is currently being used by the health care innovators to predict diseases, improve and discover new drugs. We're seeing DNA analysis, increase speed and accuracy of treatment. We're also looking at smart health wearable gadgets, where individuals can now take ownership of their health, and they can take care of their health. They can monitor their health. So we're having things like Apple Watches and Fitbits. We're having a lot of apps, health apps. There are lots of health apps in the market. And then when we're looking at the transportation industry, we're seeing how AI has ushered in the autonomous driverless cars, and it is predicted that by 2025 there will be about 250 million smart cars. Recently, Tesla has launched the driverless cars, and they're bringing in so many millions of cars in 2020. But I'm not too sure about that because of COVID. It was something that I read. We're also seeing Uber. Uber has already started introducing self-driving trucks. And in 2016, they recently tested their first self-driving trucks, and they were able to deliver 50,000 cargo to an organization. We're also seeing the retail markets being disrupted by AI, such as we're having like self-shop stores, such as the Amazon Go, which has already opened in several stores all over the US. Also looking at how we're looking at things like smart homes, and we're also looking at the automation of the manufacturing industry. If you look at Amazon now, Amazon has really gone automated in all their centers. So the question is that if this is happening now, what will happen? What's the future? And it's predicted that in the next 10 years, 7% of jobs will be fully automated, and that means millions of people will lose their jobs. So it's a question. So the question that we're asking is that our children that we are training in both primary, secondary schools and universities, are they prepared for that future? And as I said, the future is already here. You could see that, we're now in the COVID period, and the countries that were able to use technology to fight COVID, seen that, the countries that were able to fight COVID, they use technology. So it's a question, are our children prepared? Are we given the right skills for the future? So I want to talk about the past before we go to the present. And in my statement, it says to understand the present, one has to research the past. One has to be able to see the future. To see the future, one has to feel the momentum building in the present. So what happened in the past? What's happening in the present? And what is going to happen in the future? So let's track back maybe about a century ago. Now, had what was called the first and the second industrial revolution, where they were preparing people for traditional jobs. And then at that time, you had jobs like, you had white collar jobs, such as engineering, medicine, law, accounting, banking, and finance. And then the educational system was preparing these kids. I mean, they were preparing my own generation for that economy. And unfortunately, you studied medicine, you can't move to law. So you either stick to medicine, you can't just switch. But I tell you that now, with technology, you can do a lot of things. There are many hats that you can wear. So let's move down to the third industrial revolution. And this started in the 70s, and this ushered in the dot-com era. I had organizations like Amazon and Alibaba.com, eBay. They were launched in the late 90s, and they survived all the crashes, and they've become big. Now, Amazon has disrupted the retail market. It's worth about $3 trillion. Alibaba is one of the biggest retail stores across the world, and we now see eBay. So from the early 2000s, we see the birth of the social media era. That's the social media era, such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. They were able, through social media, were able to connect millions of people, and because of that, there was a lot of disruption. New markets came in, new careers came in through social media. I can't believe that you can be an influencer. One can be an Instagram influencer. During our time, this never happens. But it is happening. TikTok, I still don't understand it. People dancing and they're talking and they now become famous. Although that kind of famous, I will not really our generation, our kids, this Z generation to be part of that. So this social media, they came and they disrupted the advertising industry. I was in the advertising industry, and when I was working, that was a long time, 2002. We were doing more of ABL, above the line. There was nothing like, we were doing above the line. Below the line was just direct marketing. With social media, these guys are making huge money. And with the recent scandal of Facebook, recently, where lots of organizations pulled up the advertising revenue from Facebook, they lost billions. So it tells you that Facebook has dominated that era. And the funny thing is that there are not many people that work in Facebook. There are very few. The technology is dominant. And if you look at Facebook, they don't own the content. People write the content. So we now move to Google. Okay. Surprisingly, I think Google was founded in 2008. I think so. But the thing is that they brought a revolution. We all know Google. Google is the biggest search engine in the world. They brought a revolution, and that was the maps. We were able to operate the maps. And then because of that revolution, apart from the smart technology, this ushered in what we call the shared economy. So you have tech startups like Airbnb, crowd farming, crowdfunding. These organizations came and they disrupted every sector of the market. So for Airbnb, in my research, they said over 60 million have used Airbnb. Airbnb is a tech startup where if you need to share, if you need accommodation abroad, anywhere in the world, you can go to Airbnb and you can get accommodation for that period that you want to stay. So you have about 60 million people that have used their services. Look at Uber for now. Uber has about 5.5 million rides a day and 230,000 rides per hour. Yet they don't own the structure. All they did was to create the app, and look at how they've revolutionized everything. So 2010 was amazing. Tech startups started coming and they were disrupting. Even in Nigeria, you've seen how all the small tech startups, the banking sector, you're seeing tech startups in the banking sector, they're disrupting, and they're able to work in power with the big established banks. Then we're now seeing emerging technology. Then we now usher in the fourth industrial revolution, where we're seeing things like virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, nanotechnology, blockchains. You're looking at 3D printing. 3D printing has changed every industry. For 3D printing, you're looking at how the medical line is being used. You know, like recently we had a smart tech boot camp, and we taught the children how to design prosthetic hands and print it in 3D and make it work. So the thing is, our children should learn this kind of technology. It's not a big deal. Just need to give them the right steps. And we now see AI. AI and big data has ushered in the autonomous economy, and I've explained what it has done. And then see the trends. So right now we've moved from the job economy to what we call the skill economy. The job economy was mostly about knowledge, but that has faded out because Google is even knowledge. So you don't need knowledge, you need skills. So that's where the economy has moved to. So I'll tell you that life expectancy of jobs in the past years was 50 years. Now it's less than 5 years. At the time of my parents, my mom is a professor. She had been working in Lutz for 30 years and she retired. So look at that. Our children will not have jobs for 50 years. It's not going to happen. It will be less than 5 years. And this is what we call the gig economy. And then as other trends, we're seeing that Fortune 500 life expectancy has fallen from 75 years to 15 in the last 50 years. We've seen how the big organizations have fallen to different technologies that have disrupted the market. 2% of organizations currently use an extended workforce to fill the skill gaps. And then we're now beginning to see the millennials and the Z generation. Already you're now seeing that these millennials, they're already starting their own businesses. I see a lot of that on Instagram, and I wonder, wow, look at these trends, look at what they're doing. So the trends have changed. So what's the future of work? What is it telling us? Let's look at the trend. So we're now seeing that 85% of jobs have not yet been invented, but 65 children working jobs that do not exist. By 2020, there will be about 1.5 million new digitized jobs across the globe. Recently, I saw an advert and they were asking for someone who is very good in social media and understands the skills for remote work. So you know what? There's a gap. At the same time, 90% of organizations have seen the IT skills shortage, while 75% of educators and students feel there's a gap. There's a big gap in the ability to meet the skills needs for the IT workforce. Within the next 10 years in America, about 47% of jobs will be automated. I had already said that. And then by 2030, robots, there will be about 20 million robots in the manufacturing. Robots will take over 20 million manufacturing jobs. And in the next 11 years, there are going to be about 14 million robots in China, working in China. So what are the jobs of tomorrow? What skills do we need? What are the skills that we need? Now, this is what I took from the World Economic Forum. If you're looking at that, emerging goals for global change by 2020, we're going to have about 133 million spaces for this top 10 emerging jobs. So we're going to have data analysis and scientists, AI and machine learning, general and operations manager, software and application developers, sales and marketing, and so on. Everyone can read it. But what also interested me was new technology specialists. So we're going to see things like multimedia designers. So it's not about graphic design. It has moved beyond that. So you're going to look at people that we're looking at specialists in 3D designers, 3D printers. We're looking at virtual reality, augmented reality specialists. This is where we're going, and we don't have a choice in that. And then you now see the declining. 75 million jobs will be lost. The roles will be lost. Data entry clerks, accounting, assemblies, accounts and auditors. So you can read that. But recently, what was very interesting was that Microsoft recently launched their AI PA, a bot that can take the minutes of the meeting, organize it, and schedule your meetings, and come up with the right points, and they can do that. So I don't mind if I buy that software and it can do that. So you can see that routine jobs will definitely die. So what next? So the kind of skills demanded for that time, we're looking at cognitive abilities, system skills, complex problem solving, content skills, process skills, social skills, resource management skills, technical skills, physical abilities. So you can see that cognitive, complex problem solving comes first, that's the 6%, followed by social skills. This slide will be made available because other speakers are coming. So I'm going to rush. So the present reality, I want to talk about this. Education models now need to redefine themselves for the fourth industrial revolution. I want to say this, say something. If markets, if customers, like for instance now, I browse, I go to certain online shops. So I'm looking for something. They give me what I want. It's customized. So if what I'm looking for, or if what I'm looking for, I'm searching for is customized, why can't education be customized? Unless it fits for an individual. So the one size fits in all the education will soon be a thing of the past. And individual learning paths will arguably be less defined by traditional educational structures. So when you're looking at traditional educational structures, it's mass market. It's like the industrial, it's the first industrial revolution template that they're using. So things have changed. It's no more. If you look at that, it's more of like customer-centric services. So I believe that education should be like that. And there's so many examples. We have people that come for a boot camp. We see their strengths and we work with their strengths. And you know what's happening? Skills, not degrees, may be the reality of the future. Already we're seeing Google, Apple, IBM. They're shifting away from degrees and they're looking at new ways of being able to employ people to work in these organizations. Recently, Google, I remember Facebook. Facebook employed one of the youngest boys, 16 years old. He's a coder, he's playing games, and then he started building his skills. So you don't really need a degree to get into Google or Apple. What you need is to be able to have the right skill sets. That's the bitter truth. So it's questioning a lot of things. So how we learn must keep pace with. So another thing is that we now need to begin to introduce new learnings. We need learnings to be cross-disciplinary in terms that we're looking at problem solving, very important. If education should move from traditional to alternate learning, and alternate learning talks about problem solving. Alternate learning is more of learning that will incorporate problem solving, individuals at every stage of their career. You know, the sad thing is that once you enter university, you graduate. Because technology is evolving and new things are happening, what you've learned is obsolete. I remember the things I learned at Warwick University. Yeah, there's some things that are very, very foundational. When new things have come, so how do you now create a system where you're learning? So we need to continually learn and update our skills in order to stay very relevant. Working the digital economy will not be based on just knowledge alone. More jobs require that we interact with what? With technology. So alternative learning, so this is what we're looking for. There's an educational shift, as I said, to alternative learning. And as I said, it's emphasizing ideas, problem solving, innovation, and through digitization. 21st century students must learn to approach problems from many perspectives, cultivate and exploit creativity, engage in complex communication, leverage critical thinking. Yesterday I was watching a video and the title of the book is People Likely to Succeed. Who are the people that we likely to succeed? If we have time, I'd like to play that video if we have time. I can't remember this young boy's name. He's from Kenya. He couldn't get an education. He was struggling getting an education, but he was more into problem solving. So this young boy, you know what he did? He created. He found out that the lions were destroying the stock, killing the cows and all that. And this boy thought of an idea. He's into electronics. He does a lot of gadgets. And then he bought in batteries, lights, and created a way to frighten the lions. And all of a sudden, his technology that he used, he started helping over 300 communities. And MIT called him. His story went wrong. And MIT called him. He had never traveled in his life. He traveled. He did a fellowship there, and then he got admission there, and he was interviewed by TED. These are the people. These are the innovators. This is what we're talking about. Things have to I can't go through all the slides, but I'll just talk about this. So one of the things that we need to look at, we need to invest in personalized technology enhanced learning. As I said, it's time. COVID has done a lot of changes. And I want to tell parents, I want to employ parents that are here, that apart from your children learning from Monday to Friday, what other things are they learning? What other skills are they learning? It's very, very important that you now have the chance, because there's so many sites. There's Khan Academy, Code Academy, there's so many websites, and let them start learning things. We'll talk about it. So the thing is that now, you know what has happened to COVID? Our education, now parents are the ones that have to take control of their children's future. That's the bitter truth. The schools can only take you to a certain level, but you need to take the responsibility of ensuring that your kids have the right skills. I'll give you an example. My son is dyslexic, and unfortunately, most schools in Nigeria don't address this. And we address it very late. But what helped me was this wonderful woman. I can't call her name here. She now sat down, and where my son was, they have intervention. So they called him out of the class. And this lady started teaching my son, and she said something. She said, it's not by passing exams. Your son needs to understand the structure of English. That if he understands, then everything will be reflected, because communication is very powerful. And I can tell you today, I can boast today, my son When he was 9, he couldn't read, he mumbled his words. And I can confidently tell you that my son designed a PowerPoint slide where he debated on AI. Said, can robots become CEOs? And I even used part of the slides to write this other presentation. You know, and I have been deliberate. What do you like? I mean, I like film. I like this. So your children need to be inclusive. Once you see that your child is inclusive, you need to start building. You need to have a curriculum. I have friends that they tell me their children love games, and I tell them that okay, loving the games, let's move to building the games because it's part of creativity, and we can't kill creativity. We need to build that. So the thing is that we need to have what's called technology enhanced learning, where you're deliberate, where you're able to build you have a curriculum. You can go online. Everything is online. I'm just going to rush. As I said, they're personalized. This is the same thing that I was talking about. Khan Academy, Code Academy, Crash.com, IBM.com, Intel.com, Data Science Nigeria. These are resources that your children can start. Because let me tell you, every child needs to learn everything. Every child needs to learn coding. It doesn't have to be big coding. They have to learn coding. They have to learn multimedia design. Then you need to find a way. Then they need to work project-based learning. They need to work on projects. It's so important. You give them something like, let me tell you what we did. People have come to our bootcamp. So I picked up, because we had our Entrepreneurship program. Students, I tell you that we trained children they learned how to write a business plan, and they launched their apps, their ideas. And it was about technology. Let's look at smart technology. Let's look at the agricultural sector. Let's look at the health sector. And these people came with fantastic ideas. Some people came with mental health app. You know, someone came with asthma health app. Some other guys talked about wellness health app. Another group now came up with what do they call it? They now came up with they had to do with services, being able to provide the services to people at homes where we taught them, and we were able to get organizations, people that worked in Andela and top organizations to help them. And they now came for different courses. And I said that, look, let me tell you the learning path. First of all, before you say they're going to do web design, they need to understand UI, UX. Figma, I'm just saying these things because it's part of the structure. So we now began to train them on being able to deliver proper frameworks for their startups. And they're about to learn that working on their product design, they're working on building the app itself. And I tell you that because of that, they will have an advantage because this is a world that we're entering into. Another thing that we need to look into is entrepreneurship. Africa needs a generation of entrepreneurs and a set of innovative, high-growth companies that will energize the sector and create jobs. Over 10 million Africans join the labor force each year, and 60% are employed. Yet the continent creates only 3.7 million jobs annually. But apparently, you'll be shocked that 60% of the jobs can be found in the agricultural sector, especially when you understand the value chain. And how do you use technology with agriculture to sort out problems within the value chain? We have done things like that. We have done case studies and explained that we need to have things like that in schools. We need to have programs, organizations. For me, the corporate organizations, they need to begin to put money into the educational system. They need to do a lot of support. Me, I'm ready to train about 500 children, teenagers in entrepreneurship. We've been able to do that, and it is possible. And these children, they're confident. By 2035, more young people will be entering Africa's workforce each year. So it's frightening. So through creativity and technology and innovation in various industries like agriculture and the health sector, the economy will prosper. So we need to build our children within this market to have the skills. Now, what kind of tech skills can one learn? So we're looking at these tech skills. We're looking at coding, augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D printing, 3D design, 3D game design for Unity, Internet of Things, 3D printing, AI, data science. So these are the courses. I believe that Every child, right from primary to secondary, they need to have these skills. And they being able to work with that. Yeah, I forgot to tell you, collaboration, teamwork is so important. Because if you're a good team player, it's not about you. I built an app. No, no, no. Who did you build it with? How did you do it? Tell me, who's your team? Recently, my organization was nominated by Forbes. When we were selected out of 5,000, a lot of organizations within Nigeria. And I was surprised. The young people that I saw, they were in 20s, their 30s. They did amazing things. Some didn't even have technology backgrounds. I mean, they have what the informal sector. So we need to change our children. We need our children to have that kind of mindset. So I can't really go through this. These are just examples of countries implementing. Finland is implementing. I don't want to go through this. I just want to end everything. So as I said, I'm just going to summarize what I said. We need to shift from traditional learning to alternative learning, which emphasizes problem solving and creativity. We need our children to be innovators, being able to solve global problems within communities. It requires a new way of thinking where we need non-automable human skills. This will involve training the next generation in emerging technology, digital competencies. 21st century students must learn how to approach problem solving, exploit creativity, collaboration, communication, and leverage critical thinking. And finally, educators themselves, they need to facilitate these young people. And I believe that parents help their children because, as I said, the job market has changed. It has entirely changed. You saw the diagram that I showed you, the prominent, the jobs. Why is it that Canada, they're trying to get people, they're trying to get upskilled people, people that are very skilled. We need to have a way of being able to upskill ourselves. So look at the top organizations, look at the top careers that will be emerging from 2022. It's even happening in Nigeria. Lots of things are happening within the tech space, so we need our children to get involved. They need to be a part of this revolution. I'll give you a testimony. There's a boy that came in when he was just 13 years old, and we started training him with these skills. He found his passion, and his passion was designing sites. And when we now brought in Mr. Joseph Ogunbiade, the co-founder for Budget, he has his own training, he has his own academy for older people. So he met with him, he spoke, he gave him internship. He took the opportunity. He learned there. After he learned there, he now started teaching people within that sector. This guy is 18 years old now. He's making dollars. He's helping his parents. He was from a low-income home. When I see him, my children saw him. Who's that? I said, that's wonderful. Are you sure, mommy? Everything about him has changed. And then I want to use this platform to encourage parents that when your children get these skills, they should learn to mentor other people. They should not be selfish with their knowledge, because knowledge has to be shared. And we thank God for organizations like Khan Academy that have been able to share their knowledge. There are lots of things. So, as I said, when the shared economy, and in final notes, this is the time that we need to prepare our children the future. The future is here, the future is now, and we need to be deliberate with how we begin to engage our children for the 21st century. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mrs. Dele Tejuoso, for that insight for you. Oh, I agree that was such an insight. I mean, I felt like I was excited. just it. As a parent, the parent in me was so excited. I've often told a lot of people that we cannot afford to parent as they did it badly because times have changed so much. Oh, you can't hear me? All right. Can you hear me?
Okay, well, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. So I was talking about how, I was getting so excited while you were speaking. Thank you very much for that. I was saying how we cannot afford to be ostriches as parents and bury our heads in the sand. Times are changing so fast. We can't parent our children the way our parents did us. Not necessarily because they did it badly, or because times have changed so much. We've got to get with the program. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. And you mentioning Khan Academy. I heard about Khan Academy from a mom community on social media, and I started using it for my child who was before 2, and now if you have a conversation with her, it's so interactive. It's unlike when they tab, she's just watching. It's so interactive and teaching such amazing things that I really concur on that one. So thank you very, very much for that one. I hope the slides will be made available. I think you mentioned the slides being made available.
Yes, we'll make it
the
available.
Slides.
Yes, we'll make
Thank
it
you
available.
so much. I definitely like it. Absolutely. Thank you so